Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Gwyn, and the Insider crew.
Welcome everyone to episode 138, and we are still here at the beautiful facility, Porsche Experience Center, Atlanta. At the table, I have Manny Albin, and Damon's going to be running the AV today, but our special guest is Sam Alexander, Sales and Special Events Manager here at the PEC. Welcome, Sam.
Yes, hello. How are you both?
Now, we go back, and I guess hopefully we'll congratulate you next year because it's the anniversary of the PEC.
Yes. We opened officially in May of 2015.
And for those that don't remember, I believe it was the big number was like $100 million property being invested and built just for Porsche.
Yeah, absolutely. And the just that entity coming together, moving from 3 floors over in Sandy Springs, occupying a corporate office building, to this is
and you didn't even have the whole building. You had parts of it. I remember
that was such a letdown when I first saw that.
3 floors of
I
it.
thought we would come to something like this, and instead we're at this nondescript office building, and I'm like, just doesn't fit the look that I was expecting.
It's not nondescript because you're going to laugh of what I remember about that building, because the first time I went there, I remember going, Porsche Cars North America and Church's Chicken. Do you remember that?
Yeah, if the two don't go together, what are we doing?
Exactly. And then also today we were just talking about the 40 years of Porsche Cars North America.
Yeah, it's a distributor, so it's a lot of anniversaries. And I'm going to insert some photos here because I've been holding on to them for 10 years, evidently. Probably longer than that, but we toured this when it was all dirt. Mm-hmm. And the only thing up was the cement. And for those who've never been here, like in a courtyard, there's a cement wall that says Porsche, and that was the only thing that was standing. Everything else, they were still excavating and whatnot, but Porsche invited us down to show us what the land looked like and where everything was. And even when we came down a second time, and it was still like an exoskeleton, it was still hard to picture what it was all going to look like. So, but what an incredible building.
Yeah.
And I'll kick it off and just say, if you don't have it on your bucket list and you haven't been here, you need to come, especially if you're coming through. Atlanta's a hub for many, and if you're coming through Atlanta, you definitely should stop by the Experience Center. But we're going to talk to Sam about, depending on how much time you have. Some people reach out to us at the office and they say they're going to be here for a couple hours. There's some people say they want to do a day. Some people say they want to do a weekend. And for the last 10 years, things have also changed in here. Even not just the programs, but what's on display. Like today I walked through, I've never seen the Macan E display. We walked in and we've seen the 918 Spider before, but it's back. But it changes all the time.
But the area we're in was enclosed.
All right,
Yes.
right. This
that
was
was the exclusive department, and it was all enclosed, so you could have privacy as you selected your PTS colors.
Yes.
So let's talk about something that just recently became available for those of you that don't plan, because we do get a lot of calls of people that don't plan. They just show up. Mm-hmm. And in the past, if you just showed up and you didn't have a reservation, unfortunately, you were kind of declined and said, unfortunately, we can't receive you, but that's changed.
Yes, that has. And one of the things that we recognize that, just as you said, people, it may not be something that they're planning to do, but our building is so striking. They're like, oh, what is that? Or if you are an enthusiast and you know that the headquarters are here, but you don't know what time you're planning on coming, we've offered a general admission ticket to the facility. It is a $5, very nominal charge. And if you approach the security gate and you don't have a reservation, they do have a handy pre-printed QR code for you to scan. Go ahead and book that and get your name on the list. And it just takes a few minutes to get you in.
To get here from the airport, say you've landed, got your bags, it's like a 10-minute ride.
10-minute ride from domestic, about 5 from international.
There you go. Now that you're in, you come through the gates, you get a nice welcome.
I want to point out that $5 is probably the cheapest thing you'll buy with the word Porsche on it.
The best deal around.
Because that is a smoking deal.
That is definitely a great deal.
So once you're in, do they just kind of cut you loose, or what do you do?
Yes, you're welcome to stop by our PEC desk or our check-in desk to see what's available if you wanted to do any other activities on site. But otherwise, once you're in, you have a wristband on, and it gives you access to anything that doesn't need a key to get to.
Okay.
Right? All of our public space is available. You're able to see any of our vehicle displays that are out around the building. We also have our gallery, which is downstairs, the Heritage Galley, downstairs on the B1 and B2 levels. In addition to that, if you wanted to check and see, if we had reservation room for lunch in the restaurant, 356, or you could grab a coffee or something casual in Carrera Cafe.
And you have a beautiful area that, let's say, I think if you have a driving session, you kind of stage there. But even if you don't have a driving session, an open area that overlooks the original track.
Absolutely. Our south track that we refer to it now as, Carrera Cafe does have a nice terrace that is outfitted with furniture. It's a really cool place to watch planes go by, to watch the cars on the track during the sessions. It's really it's a show during the demo lap session. It's definitely something to see.
My favorite thing is when some of the cars on the highway, because you can see the highway right next to the racetrack, and it runs parallel.
Try to keep up with
they're
the
going
cars.
faster than the Porsches on the track.
Sometimes.
That's Atlanta traffic.
And we're right by an exit. So, I mean, for them to take it at those speeds are very, it's
sign them up.
Striking. No, I don't want to sign them up.
There's some that you need to keep them outside. Yeah, I totally get it. Now, are there 3 or 4 floors total here?
There are 6 floors total.
Oh, there's 6 floors, but there's some floors that are just employee only.
Correct.
Okay.
So in addition to the Experience Center, we are the headquarters for Porsche Cars North America, or Porsche Group companies, because there are a couple of ancillary companies that are here as well. So Porsche Consulting is here, MHP, which is an IT partner here. Porsche Digital is also
Porsche
here.
Financial?
Porsche Financial Services is also here, locked away, tucked away.
Yes.
But yes.
Same with our
can't pour
finance
that.
office.
Is Porsche Engineering here?
There is some
Yeah.
product planning that's here. Our engineering department is downstairs as well on the B2 level. We have our PTAP training facility that's down here as well.
You also deliver new cars here.
Yes, we do. And of course, it's an eye option when you purchase your vehicle, but you can elect to have your vehicle delivered here. Similar to the experiences that they have for European delivery, you can select either Atlanta or Los Angeles as your delivery location, and your car is shipped to us. And we do everything from a pre-inspection standpoint. We clean it up real nice, make it real shiny, and we pull it into our NVD lounge. On the day of your delivery, you are received by our new vehicle delivery specialist, and he guides you. His name's Ryan Anderson, and he guides you throughout your day. That's a half-day experience with us, and you come in, you'll check in, you will meet your vehicle at some point, depending on your format. You will drive a vehicle on our track from our fleet that most closely matches what you purchased. And in addition to that, you get to enjoy a great meal in Restaurant 356 for you and a
Which I want
guest.
to point out, it's better for you to drive Porsche's vehicle than your own vehicle.
Because you're still probably...
You're in a break-in period, and let's face it, you go a lot faster in someone else's Porsche than your own. But when people say, "Oh, I don't get to drive my car," I'm like, you really don't want to. You want to drive their car.
You want to see what the car can do, but not necessarily in your own vehicle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Do they still have those boards that people sign after they...
They do,
they
and
have
we
those,
are
okay.
now on year, because we started this program in 2017, so we're now on year 6 of that, which is really cool.
Excellent.
Do you know how many deliveries you do a year?
So on average, we do between 300 and 325 per year.
Wow.
It's because we can do 2 per day on the days that we're open, Tuesday through Saturday. We do them during the week, Tuesday through Friday. But in addition to that, we have some, years that are a little bit more robust. But yeah, we just celebrated, we crested over 2,500 total in the just here recently.
Oh, wow.
So you feel like it's more exclusive. You're not like cattle. You're not running 30 cars a day.
Absolutely.
It's very,
2 a day. So
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's
You
a lot
get,
of attention.
It really touches that one-to-one experience.
Nice.
And you feel, you get a special colored outfitted lanyard for it. It has a tag with your vehicle image on it, your name and the date, so you have that as a keepsake as well. You also receive, a little token from us to shop in the retail store
Oh yes, you
during
have
that
to go to
time
the goodie
frame.
store.
Now, when you pick up this car, are you responsible for getting it home, or
Yes, you are.
so if I decide I live in Maryland, I say, you know what, I want to do to California, but then I got to get it home
Correct.
some way. So keep that in mind. If you
So how do tags
order one.
work?
So everything is arranged pretty much through your dealer. So we work very closely with the Porsche centers to make sure that we have all the proper information. There's a little bit of signature that happens in that delivery lounge for the official handover, but we try to make it as very, very seamless as possible.
Okay, so the dealer would outfit or send down the tags that they need to get the car home.
Yeah, they'd either send it to us or to the customer directly
Okay.
to manage those registrations, depending on the state.
We mentioned a little bit about the Heritage Galley, and that's one level that I love to visit because that also changes. So you could have race cars, we had themes of PCA cars. How often does that change over?
So annually, our exhibit changes, right? The exhibit theme. This year, we're featuring pure emotion, right? And I'll tell you about that in a second, how that differentiates. But from there, we also do a vehicle turnaround about every 6 months. So our marketing team for the PEC works directly with several vehicle owners, and we curate these exhibits to make sure that we have, stories to tell. And usually it's a kind of the car is the star situation, but this year with that pure emotion, it really taps into how the vehicle makes you feel. If you get a chance to go down there, the stories that are behind some of these vehicles are just simply amazing. There's a father-daughter team that restored one of the vehicles down there, and they have specific quotes from those customers, and it just really taps into how that vehicle makes you feel. I remember past exhibits where we've had the 356 exhibit, which was my favorite until this one.
Yeah.
And that was one of our first exhibits here when we opened. But the being able to really hone in on how the vehicle has either changed your life or changed your perspective simply, and it tells a lot of stories, and it does pull some feelings out of you.
Yeah, we always talk about we love the cars, but the stories is what really draws us in and connects us all.
And the story of the guy who bought a car 15 years ago, a vintage Porsche, and then parked it and hasn't seen it since.
Oh no!
He's talking about somehow this
I think
always
that's a great story.
This always comes up in our discussion, and he's talking about my 72 914 that is in process of being restored.
I love the 914.
Yes.
I will tell you,
he's
that
a
is
914 owner as well.
That is
Mine
such,
runs though.
It is like
There's a difference between his and
And
mine.
I see it quite often.
I always liked the body style of it because it was just different, right? But I actually had a chance to drive one last year when we were moving it out of the gallery. It was an orange colored one, and that was interesting because
Mine's orange.
It was hard to. She was a little tough to turn.
Yeah,
but
no
when
power
Beyonce,
steering.
Beyonce posed, remember Beyonce posed in front of it when she was pregnant, on top of it.
Oh yeah,
I was
man, I didn't
legitimized.
see-
Yes, the 914.
we're
Listen.
very
Like,
excited as 914 owners.
we take her as a
getting the
914
attention.
fan too.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow's 914 day. I wonder
That's
what'll
right.
happen. No,
No,
Saturday.
Saturday. I was
Saturday.
going to say.
Well, so there's a change up in cars, there's change up in themes, but there are things there that we're very proud of being a part of that stays there and has stayed there for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And there's I know a display of PCA region grill badges
Yes.
that are there with the standard PCA crest as well. And then you have like I don't want to say a museum, but like a what do you call it? Like history, archives.
Yes.
There's an archive end of the the gallery that you can go through and see some really cool stuff in the transition through the years of the badge, how the badge is made. There's you literally, if you have a couple hours, you can easily burn up a couple hours. If you have a full day, you definitely can do a full day. And then I know members that have come here and plan for like 2 days. Like they might do one driving event one day and then try a different car or couple of cars the other day. So let's talk a little bit about the driving experiences that are available here. What's the range? Because I know you obviously have cars that we always think about on the track, but then there's also an off-road section, and then there's been a recent addition or expansion of the whole driving experience.
Absolutely. So I mentioned earlier that we talk about our South Track. And I call it our South Track now because it's the OG. But now, as of April 2023, we opened our West Track. And we offer 3 driving experience times per day for each of those, starting at about 9:30 in the morning. So they stagger. And having those really gave us a chance to differentiate between the vehicle, the horsepower levels, really. I mean, the South Track is really geared towards that learning how to handle everyday driving, but you're also having some fun with it as well, right? You're having fun on the kick plate. You're having fun on the dynamics pad doing launch control. You really get to see what that Cayenne does on the off-road section, which we've recently modified to make sure that it handles all of the Cayenne levels that we've gotten from the 2015 when we opened all the way up to now. And in addition to that, the handling circuit on the South Track also kind of mimics that winding country road with a lot of those tight turns and those close corners, and keeps you focused, right, while you're driving.
Without a cop around the corner with a radar gun.
Exactly. Pulled up. You know how Jeep, they pull up.
and let's not forget the excellent instructors that go along with you.
Absolutely. So they are one-to-one experiences. You are behind the wheel, and to your right seat is a Porsche Drive instructor. And right now we have about 60 on our roster between full-time and part-time. And something to manage, our day-to-day needs. In addition to that, you can also do demonstration laps around the handling circuit of our South Track. Those are offered now also 3 times a day on the South Track.
And you can really see how capable a bone stock Porsche is.
Do they do it rain or shine? Because today is a little bit rainy.
We do. We do operate rain or shine for the most part. If there's a heavy downpour or something where there has been flooding or somewhere on the section of our track, we don't, or we'll modify it. So if the turntable up front for your demonstration laps, if it's wet, it's meant to be dry. So we should probably not do any 180s there. But you also, when we have our RS models, we don't operate those in the rain either. And those are over in the West Track.
Because you're putting it in the hands of people that may not be familiar with how to handle an RS.
See, all the RS owners are saying, and this is why I don't drive my car in the rain.
No. If you own it, you should drive it.
No, for sure. And that stop and go traffic is perfectly fine. But it's just more of that high speed, higher speed, the carousel, the going down the corkscrew, those types of things. There's a lot of elevation changes as we talk about the West Track. And going into that, the premise behind that was to be a little bit more motorsports inspired, something that will give us a level up from that those South Track vehicle offerings.
I've only driven the South Track, and it was very fun. But I've also driven other tracks for high performance drivers education. I've also been to Barber and such, and I definitely noticed the OG South Track. To someone that may not have been on track before, it can be a bit intimidating, because it's really like a standard road, like out driving on a road. So if you're kind of pushing it and you're in a unfamiliar car, you're not gonna be like carefree as I wouldn't say you're carefree on a regular track, but on a bigger track there's big runoffs and room, and the walls aren't so close. There's room. There's room. I mean, at the end of the day, there's just more room around.
The guardrail's made out of steel, not marshmallows.
Yes.
You will not come out well.
So I always, it was very you needed to respect the course, the OG course, because you don't want to go wild and crazy, because the potential of doing something bad if you go off is high. So I think it keeps people's speeds down, keeps people in check. Is it the same way with the new course?
The West Track is more open. It is. Some of the modules in those spaces, like I said, they mimic those features of various tracks around the world. So it does lend itself a little bit better for those higher speeds, able to kind of navigate through that space a little more freeing in a freer manner. But you are still paired with that drive coach next to you that will guide you through those various modules and around that course. And they really kind of keep into perspective where we are, because they know that course kind of probably with their eyes closed at this point. So they really do take great care in making sure that you understand where you are and how to maneuver through those spaces. So it's not necessarily, I'm going crazy over there, I'm going to go over there and it's just,
just
let it loose. No.
Let loose, yeah.
And there are places where, like in our autocross, where you can do those launch controls and those, really kind of see how agile those vehicles are. But in other spaces, we are very, cognizant of where you are on the track and how to get through those various modules. So
I guess they still offer this like comparisons. If you're not sure if you want a rear engine 911 or a mid-engine Cayman, I remember seeing where you could drive both.
You can.
And compare, which some people legitimately do not know, the difference or have a preference.
Yeah.
And here you get to, instead of just doing a 2 or 3 mile loop where the dealer tells you to go,
currently you have
on the track.
I think currently you have something like the GT4 versus the GT4 RS Montai or something.
Yep.
So then, as you said, Manny, if people are considering which one do I want, you can get a flavor for it here. And we get the calls at PCA's national office about coming here, and we kind of try, and we talked about this earlier, is trying to set people's expectations of what you're doing here. You're not coming here for a race license.
Correct.
If you've never driven in a performance environment, you're certainly going to have an enjoyable time here, because you do drive more aggressively than you would just out on 95 or.
And Roger Penske doesn't have an office here looking to see how you're doing lap-wise.
So it's still a lot of fun, and you can do these comparos. You can get the hot lap, so to speak, demonstration rides with instructors. It's still very much impressive, but you have to, again, set the expectation. If you're after a race license, you're not coming here for
Correct.
that. Yeah.
You are headed somewhere else.
Barber
That's down
Motorsports Park.
That's right.
Barber.
Leeds, Alabama. There's a nice Buc-ee's by there too, just in case.
We've been there. We know that very.
With like 4 miles left on the Taycan that we had to charge.
Oh my goodness.
How many people do you put through the driving programs monthly, yearly, rough numbers?
So annually we see about 40,000 guests.
Oh, that's incredible.
And from a drive experience perspective, we're somewhere around 11,000 or so.
Okay.
So, pretty good numbers with regards to that. I think the opportunities that we've taking advantage of with adding on that West Track really has given us the chance to focus our efforts on getting people behind the wheel. So that's one of the things that are being charged with growth has helped us.
Now, my marketing background always comes back to the term conquesting. Do you find a lot of people coming here to experience a Porsche from other brands, and hopefully they see the difference between their Lexus versus the Porsche that they might be considering for their next purchase?
Well, I think that obviously I feel like we catch a lot more of the outside of Porsche enthusiasts or Porsche people that are just genuinely intrigued by the brand. I feel like there's probably a few that come through. We try not to ask too much about why they're here, but sometimes the conversations come through, and they go, I was looking at this, and
I would think they're if they're here, they're an enthusiast of some sort.
Some sort, but we also do a lot of corporate groups.
Oh, this would be a great
for sure, team building.
Team building,
absolutely.
Is there anyone that ever gets out of the car that isn't smiling?
No.
Because it seems to me
I have
like
not seen it.
anyone,
Well-
in car enthusiasts or not,
The-
just has to be blown
The only
away.
people I see coming out of the car not smiling are the people that get sick.
Yeah.
But
Good.
after they get sick, I think they smile.
They still smile though.
It's like green, then cheese.
Green and then smile.
No, for sure. I mean, I think that outside of corporate groups or people that are not necessarily familiar with the brand, or they're here for, a holiday party, or they're here for a day meeting. That it's not a bad location for a day meeting. I would say, because we do those.
Sure.
We do those often as well. We probably host about 600 events a year. In addition to that, so that kind of ties into that 40,000 guest
Yeah.
range, but that's where a lot of those come from.
Oh. Now, do you still? I know Atlanta has also been a hub for movies and music
Yes.
videos and such. Are you
Yes.
still getting?
We are. So we actually recently filmed a scene from the Tulsa King season 2.
Oh, wow.
So like right over in this area where we
Oh.
are, we were LaGuardia Airport TSA.
Oh, that's funny.
And so you'll see that when the season comes out later this month, if you're a watcher. But Chicky was here, which was fun. So when you see that scene, I could probably quote it word for word, but I won't, because I believe I signed something that
Some
said I couldn't.
NDA.
I could say that they were here, but I
Yeah.
can't tell you anything else.
So you remember when Avengers, the first one,
Yes.
was filmed? Not the first movie Avengers, but the
Captain
first
America
film,
Civil
yeah.
War. Yep,
Was
we
that
did.
too, really?
Yep, we did Captain
Wow.
America Civil War when we first opened here. So just after the grand opening, we immediately flipped and turned into a movie set for about 3 weeks, which was interesting.
Oh.
Probably new to a lot of the team members that were here as well. But since then, we've done over 20 productions in various scales, between commercials, music videos, full-on movies. And
I remember Detlef von Platten, who I guess this is really his vision. I
Yes.
remember him telling us what he wanted to do.
Yes.
I remember him telling us that they weren't expecting the Hollywood part of it.
Correct.
That kind of came to them, and
Yeah.
they didn't realize that something as beautiful as this would attract so much attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And it has. And I mean, and we ended up being like the Avengers headquarters, which
Yeah.
is crazy.
Which gets blown up enough,
Right?
That's all.
It does. It does. We don't-
CGI.
Yeah. Not. Yeah. In theory, it does get blown up, but that's fine, right? You've got other places, and there's always a producer or director that says, "I can make this look different," and you go, "You sure can." And this is how much it costs.
Now, downstairs is also a very cool area that originally was classic,
Yes.
and there's on like at least 6 bays.
Correct.
And they used to do the restorations or the classic work down there, but
Mhm.
now they have their own facility, and we'll talk
Yes.
about that in a second.
Yeah.
So what goes on in those bays down there now, taking care of the fleet?
Yes.
Okay.
We actually needed that space.
Oh, okay.
And it was really, it came at an opportune time. So, I think nothing happens by mistake, especially with the addition of our West Track. We brought on an additional 50 vehicles. So we have a total fleet of about 130 vehicles here
130 vehicles.
for the Porsche Experience Center alone. And we needed somewhere to be able to service those vehicles, right?
Yeah.
Because those vehicles are touched more than any car I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right. And lots of tires and brakes, right? But
Yeah.
also making sure that those vehicles are fine tuned and ready for what they're going to experience on the
So
track.
when Classic was here, what
We had-
what space did you have?
we were right next door to them in those two remaining bays.
Okay, in the other base. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I think there's a total of 5, 3 down where Classic was working, which was too small for what they were doing as
Right.
well. And then the other 2 on the
I
other
remember
side.
now. Yeah, you couldn't get many cars through that.
No, you
Especially-
could not.
yeah.
You definitely had to work very, very smart in order to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
But now we do have the space, which is great, and we have the team that is really, making sure that those vehicles are in top-notch condition.
Can I ask those cars? How long do they stay in rotation here, and
Yeah.
do they get refreshed and then end up in
Correct.
customers' hands at some point?
Yes. So we keep them anywhere from 6 to 12 months, depending on the vehicle type and the usage. And then from there, they are, they're conditioned and ready for sale.
I think when you go on Porsche's website, you can see the certified pre-owned cars and used cars that are available. I believe that those, do they end up on there, or do they go to dealers?
They don't they don't go there. They are we work with Manheim a lot to make sure that they're sent to proper places, and that there's full disclosure on what the vehicle was,
Lately driven.
Yeah,
Yes.
lightly driven.
No, we're definitely forthcoming as to what.
Well maintained, though.
Yes, very well maintained, and that's where we'll that's really what we try to drive home, that those vehicles are, again, they're kept in a great condition,
And that's what they were doing what they're meant to be doing, right? So I can't believe it's been over a year, but I was here for the grand opening of the Classic Center.
Yes.
Next door. Tell us a little bit about that.
And you're in our sizzle video.
I am
Coming through the.
Oh, you're right. That's so
he
funny.
set himself up so you could tell him. He knew.
I love it.
I can't believe you remember that.
Now we got to insert that part of the video into the podcast.
I think we'll find it.
we'll find it.
Sizzle. Yeah. The sizzle reel. That was a cool night.
That was a very cool night, and that was, it took us a few months to put that together. But in addition to the Porsche Classic Restoration Center opening, it was the grand opening for the West Track, and it featured a very dynamic show that's something that we did for the main building, but it wasn't to that extent. I mean, I felt like it was so well choreographed.
It was.
The score, like the music behind it, was just amazing.
Well, I think you picked up some tips from all your friends at Hollywood.
For sure. It was a great night, though. The opening of that facility was just really like one of the kind of pillars of last year, especially celebrating 75 years of Porsche later that year, Rennsport being later that year. It was a lot of work all the way around.
Big auction where we sold the classic Club Coupe.
Exactly. Yep. That was fun.
There was a lot
back in June.
A lot going on.
Yes, and it was our little team that was taking care of it. So
I don't know if this is the largest PEC out of do they have 11, I think? Or
there
12?
are 11. We are the largest. We're going to take that, right? Leipzig may have something to say about it, but we're going to take that one, especially with our.
Doesn't count if you're connected to the already test track.
Correct.
Well, Silverstone,
yes,
they're kind of connected to the track, but it's not really the track. Isn't PEC?
Exactly.
This is all PEC. This isn't sharing with anyone else.
That's right, and that we're going to stick to that story as well, because we want to say
built, not
we're
bought.
the biggest. Purpose built.
Well, I mean, that's another reason for people to come visit it, is that I always tell them, I go, they're doing business here. This isn't where the California is more of a retail type location. This is where all the offices are, and our CEO and everyone else who's in the hierarchy have their offices. So it's pretty cool that that's all happening in this one building.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the things that I like about this space. It really ties together the sense of Porsche Cars North America, in addition to having those customers come in and feel welcomed by that and not off-put by that. So that's one of the things that I really like about this space. I mean, it's not a bad place to come into work every day either, right? It's modern, it's beautiful. You have like the best views. Some people like to stare at skylines. I like to stare at planes, so they come by.
I would find it very distracting, but maybe you get used to it.
Yeah,
because it's
super quiet in here.
It's quiet, but then it's very pretty when a plane comes so close and goes across the track.
The first time we toured here, I think we were in the room right behind here, and I saw the plane go by, and I said to, I forgot who was our tour guide, I said, wow, you must use really thick glass because I can't hear the plane.
Yeah.
And he said, we're piping in white noise.
Yeah,
he said the glass isn't any thicker, and he says, here, and he opened the door up, and then you could hear the full brush of the plane, and I was like really impressed that they had looked at those small details, because I was so quiet inside.
Yeah, and they are double paned windows, so they're very and just very much sealed. So when the door does crack, you can immediately hear noise. But that's one of the cool things about it. Like I said, I feel like we are in a fairly quiet environment right now. but probably 10 planes have flown by.
Neighbors can't complain. The cars are too loud.
That's one thing.
You got
that is definitely
737s flying every minute over top of it.
correct.
What I do like as I walk through the door today, because it is September, and unlike my local Costco, which is already selling Christmas trees and such, you haven't started decorating here. But
Yes.
I know during the season, you must have a team that I don't know where you store it all, because there's a lot of
Offsite.
Christmas decor. Like, is there a separate team just for that, like for the different seasons and the different holidays?
There is not necessarily. We work with a really great vendor
Okay.
that stores our items, and we work on the aesthetic that we want to see every year. So between myself and my our operations manager, Chris Wallace, and of course Michelle Rainey, which she manages. She's director of PECs all
Yes.
over the United States. So we work together on what we want to see, right, and how we want to implement that. But it definitely does not go up until the day after Thanksgiving.
Very good.
We wanna
and
make
it's
sure that
beautiful
it's
if you
done.
are coming through here during the holidays. If you've been to PEC before, but you haven't been through when it's all decorated, it's very much worth your time to come through.
So it's definitely, and we just add on little touches every year. We add on something else, but we want to make sure that it's still clean and purposeful, not just snow everywhere.
And who decides what's on display and what cars are coming through?
Our team does.
Okay.
We work with, if we have something really cool that's coming through, and PR says, hey, I've got this car and I want, it'd be nice to have it in the atrium. Absolutely. We can put it in the atrium. But most of the time our team curates from our fleet vehicles and we rotate them out fairly frequently. Up here you'll see the latest and greatest outside of of course the 918 that's sitting in the middle of the atrium right now. We usually try to put our current models up so that customers are able to be immersed in the vehicles. They can sit inside. There's a Turbo S over in the East Atrium along with a Cayenne that guests can sit in and put their hands on and touch and feel. There's no keys in it. They can't drive it off. Right. But they can definitely
Sit and experience it.
Feel.
I like how she looked at you and she mentioned that you can't.
It's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious. You don't want the keys around me.
So I noticed that we're obviously what I used to call it the exclusive room.
Correct.
Do they still do consultations here for exclusive?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that is a service that's still arranged through your dealer, and of course there's some special accommodations that are made for that. But our exclusive manufacturer team, sometimes they do consultations here, sometimes they come to you. Right, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
But we've opened this space up a lot more, and it's less of a design studio where the consultations were actually happening here, and just more of a space to pass through. And then even our customers, as PEC customers, can experience kind of what it takes to customize your vehicle, and you're picking everything from your seat stitching to your brake caliper colors, so it's really
it's
really
much
cool.
more welcoming without
For sure.
because it was just like a
Yeah.
glass room, but
Yeah.
because it was a room, you felt like, should I be in here or should I
Correct.
not? But now that you have it open, anybody can walk through and
Yeah.
touch and feel and look at all the fabrics and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're deciding on what model of Porsche you want to buy, not only can you drive it, but you can sit down with someone and say, so when I go back to my dealer, what should I order? And here I can see like all the different fabrics which you can actually touch.
Yes.
And of course the colors and pretty much everything you would see on your configurator, you can touch here.
Yes. And as the colors are added, we bring the new ones out, and it's one of those things that kind of sets us apart, I believe, from any other kind of showroom.
Now, how much do you interact with PEC? So for those of you that are not East Coast and you might be flying through, is it Carson? PEC's Carson?
Yep,
So,
Carson.
so just south of LAX or north of John Wayne Airport off the 405, you'll see Porsches running up and down the track, and you'll see the Porsche building, and you'll see the Porsche gentleman with, I think, a torque wrench or something, a big statue.
Yep.
So do they have the same as far as coming in for a $5 admission and walk through, or?
So they are open to the public, so you don't have to have a general admission ticket to come in there.
Okay, so you can just show up.
Correct.
Okay.
The facility itself is, of course, a just on a smaller scale because it doesn't have the headquarters attached to it. But they take walk-up guests all the time, and they are something busy. They have this event on every third, I think quarterly now on Sundays called Morning Shift.
Morning Shift, yes.
Cars and coffee.
And it is definitely cars and coffee on steroids.
Yeah.
It is definitely it is something to see. And those vehicle they always show us that vehicle lineup. Oh, well, they were backed up about a mile to get in that day, and
that's a big responsibility.
Super fun.
Plus, it's also the offices of Porsche Motorsports North America.
Correct.
And you can look for the glass, and they're actually, it's not for display. They're actually working on the cars, both vintage race cars that they service and the current ones. So that's a pretty cool. It's also great, but it has a restaurant too, as well. The driving experiences.
Yep.
Before, I think the track was a little larger than this one until you added the West track, which
Correct.
now makes it.
Their track was larger until we added the West track. So, like I said, we took the top spot as we should be. It's a friendly competition.
Yes.
It's a friendly competition. No, our counterparts in Los Angeles, we work very closely to make sure that our program offerings match. There are things that make sense in Los Angeles happen in Los Angeles, but things that can be done in both Los Angeles and Atlanta, then they're done in both places. So that
like vehicle delivery.
Correct. They
Consultations.
Correct. So now I don't know if they have exclusive manufacturer there. I don't believe they do, but they work with Area West because there's a lot of Porsche centers in that space. So they do have a person that goes to your Porsche center to help you with that.
So back to here, you have this building, you have the West Track, you have the Kimpton Hotel.
The Kimpton Hotel is on our property. Not on our property. They have their own. They own everything that is associated with Kimpton. It's owned and managed by a private equity group, but it holds the Kimpton brand. But it does provide a close accommodation.
Can't get any closer.
No, we share a driveway.
Yeah.
But it's one of the things that allows convenience.
It's an upscale.
Yes.
Upscale. It's a very nice hotel, very convenient. But if you're not looking to stay at a Kimpton,
yes,
you're at the airport. So there are a lot of hotels within 5 minutes of here.
Yes.
Yeah. To reiterate, in case we didn't say it earlier, we are just minutes from Atlanta. Hartsfield Jackson is at the airport.
Very close.
You can take an Uber. It's super. It's just minutes away, and I think it's great because if you're flying in or you have a long layover, it's you don't have to rent a car.
Yeah.
It's quicker to grab a taxi or an Uber.
And if you're here for a few days, our official partnership for Porsche Cars North America is with Nobu Hotels Atlanta.
Okay.
So that's Nobu Hotel opened last year here in Buckhead.
Okay.
So not very far away, but if you're doing other things in the city as well, in addition to visiting the PEC, Nobu offers a Porsche rate that you can just simply call and ask for, and they'll be able to give you that. It's typically a percentage off the best available rate, but they
that
have
sounds like a fancy hotel.
It is very beautiful. It is a nice place to
be. More
like
the Porsche experience, if you will.
Correct.
Right. And how far are we from the city? Downtown?
We are about 10 minutes from downtown. 15 from Midtown and
now
20
with
from
traffic
Buckhead.
is
with traffic
depends what time.
That's
you can't quote.
That varies.
With traffic time,
right?
you can't quote.
You never know what our traffic's going to be like here in Atlanta.
4 o'clock, an hour.
Because LA is the same way. You look at the miles and you think, oh, it's that far.
Yeah.
An hour and a half later, you're still in the Uber waiting to get there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Traffic is definitely something you need to take into account. But and that's Atlanta in general, though. Yeah.
So behind the hotel here is a Porsche Classic, which we talked about. But then there's another Porsche building, but not necessarily directly connected to PEC.
That's correct. So the Porsche Service Center South is just down at 400. Is it 400? Yep, I think it's 400 Porsche Avenue. So Porsche Avenue is where we are. Wow, that's crazy. We got Porsche Avenue and Porsche Drive because we're on Porsche Drive.
Well, that's what I noticed coming in today because I've always known one Porsche Drive or two Porsche Drive. But then some of these newer buildings or newer building street signs said Porsche
Avenue.
Did
Yeah.
that just recently change?
No, it just extended with while the businesses were there.
Okay.
Porsche Avenue was named in around that 2014, 2015 timeframe as well while we were building this facility.
Okay.
If you go to the right, it's Dixie Highway.
Right.
Old Dixie Highway.
Okay,
But if
yeah.
you turn left,
It's Porsche Avenue. Oh, okay.
So Porsche Service Center South is a joint venture from, of course, the Jim Ellis Group and the Hennessy Group that they came together and recognizing that they have customers on the south side and there's a need to be able for their vehicles to be serviced.
Okay.
So that was one of the things that was really helpful. You know, let's say you live 20 miles south of the city. Now you don't have to drive an hour and a half to get to your Porsche Service Center.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a joint venture between two dealerships or service centers to provide service capabilities
Correct.
down here.
Yes.
Ah, okay. And they a full gamut just like a standard service center would have.
Absolutely. And they have a very, I feel like I don't have a lot to go on, but it feels so much different than going into a service center attached to a dealership and just being at this place.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
it's very nice inside.
But you got executive management just a few steps away.
Yeah.
Very close.
You got to make sure everything's CI.
So it's probably the model, you know,
Yes.
the model of everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It's like having the McDonald's right next to McDonald's Corporation.
Yes.
You
It's got to
better
be
make
that
sure those French
flagship.
fries are 100% every time.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, since you're talking about fast food, and we're going to have to take a little bit of a Porsche departure, but a place you must visit, I feel you must visit, and you can't really visit on Sunday, but any other day of the week you got to visit right up the street.
I thought you were going to say the Varsity. I'm like, they're not open on Sunday?
Oh man, the Varsity. No,
Yeah.
but we are across the street from Dwarf House. Chick-fil-A Dwarf House. Is that what you were talking
That's
about?
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, they are and they just recently remodeled that facility as well within the last 2 years.
They put a parking lot because I think they were just getting bombarded and parking was
It's
terrible.
the original
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, right?
That is the
Yeah.
first. And you know, their headquarters are just down here on Buffington Road, so not too far away. But that building, I mean, they're
that's a
busy.
money money printing machine right there. I mean, it's
Listen,
always busy.
They are super busy. I always do your mobile order, and
Yeah.
then they geofence you, so you can't just say I'm here. So you gotta get a little bit closer, and then they
Yeah.
go, okay, you really are here. And you go,
Ah,
okay, great.
Wow.
Now the menu selection there, of course, has all the traditional Chick-fil-A items that you would find at Chick-fil-A in Maryland, but
Yeah.
they have like the additional sort of like the diner options.
Yes, they have a
It's
full service side.
full service side.
Uh-huh.
So
They sell burgers. You can get a burger there.
yeah,
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You didn't know that?
No, we've been there before. How did I miss that?
Because we always get the traditional stuff. But yeah, well, maybe we'll do it today. Maybe we'll
Listen,
have time
if
to
you
walk
got
over
some
today.
time,
Yeah.
go over there.
Now
sit down.
obviously we talked about the cafe here.
Yes.
That is attached to the open area, and then 356 fine dining.
Yes.
But yeah, there's options here. There's a lot of cute little restaurants and coffee places just within walking distance.
Yeah, and downtown Hapeville has really expanded
Oh,
their
yeah,
offerings.
definitely.
There are a lot of smaller restaurants like Cafe Bella, which is just down the street. They opened last year, and they are just so cute. I mean,
It
it's
almost
just
looks like
one of
it's
those
become
places.
like an artsy district
It
from what we
has.
remember when it first opened.
It has, and I think that the city has recognized, the contributions that this company is making to the area and what business it brings to, and they've invited a lot of businesses out. So, while they strive to be a little bit more walkable, from here at least, it definitely has been an effort made on their side, which is
Yeah.
really great, and it's noticeable.
On the way in today, I was thinking how I'm not that smart because I was in the middle of it all and I didn't take advantage of it. Where someone, a business such as Porsche company comes and invests in this area, and that city was kind of rough and kind of quiet, and I'm thinking,
up and coming is what we describe it as.
Right.
Up and coming.
And we were at the beginning of it. Like, why didn't we plan Z and buy a property or do a business or something? Because you all have really pulled that town up.
They have built their new apartments over here. There's lots of places
That's what
to
triggered my
live.
thought, because of the new townhouses that are about to become available for rent.
Yep.
That it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely a nice location, and I think I like being over in the what we call the airport district, which is kind of that Hapeville, College Park, East Point kind of area, and what they have to offer. You can still get a real good taste of where you are as far as Atlanta, without having to go directly into the city.
One more place to consider to visit if you have time when you're here, and I haven't done it yet, maybe you can share it with me, is I believe there's like a Delta museum or like a Delta
for sure. Delta Flight Museum.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that.
So,
I've wanted to do that, but I haven't had a chance yet.
That space is actually an airport hangar. There's it's a hangar, and they do tours. There's a museum inside of it. There's also special event space. They can probably do about 1,000 people for events. We fight it out with them for proms. I don't know if you know this or not, but we do proms a lot. But they are here, just around the corner. Yeah. There is an admission for them as well, but it can easily be found on their website, Delta Flight Museum.
Are you walking through planes? Or?
You are.
Oh,
there's a nice cockpit that you can sit in and take photos from, and just really gives you a history of the lineage that is Delta.
Plenty to do.
See, we spent like 4 hours in a Delta plane yesterday.
Yeah, but that was
that was actually quite comfortable.
It was comfortable.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Can you share a little bit for maybe 10-year anniversary plans?
Those plans are still in the works, but there will be some sort of celebration.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be a part of it.
Absolutely. We love having you all out, and we host a lot of PCA groups here on their own. They come over, through our inquiry box, and we make sure that, we guide them in a way that how our experience with those, how much time they have on hand and what fits within budgets and those types of things. So we host a lot of PCA groups. Yeah. But for 10 years, there will be a celebration. It's a milestone. I can't believe it. The time has flown.
Yeah.
I feel like the pandemic stole a few years from us, so it doesn't feel like it's 10 years. But it has been 10 years.
It's been 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you have a very strong PCA region here, the Peach State region.
Yes.
That whatever you need from PCA, I'm sure they'll be able to step up. And I remember, I don't know if you still do this, but a few of our Peach State region members volunteered as docents.
Yes.
Do they still do that? Or?
They do, and they do our tours on Wednesdays and Fridays at 9:30.
Oh, cool.
So we do offer a group tour option that you can purchase a ticket into. The tours are $16, and it is 90 minutes of brand immersion, why we chose Atlanta, even things down to the building shape and why that was chosen and those types of things. It does a deep dive into our Heritage Gallery vehicles that are there, what that exhibit means to us, and it also gives you a chance to view the other aspects of the facility as well as this, like the simulator lab and the track, so you're able to kind of see what that looks like. You have the option of adding on a demonstration lap at the end of your tour too in the 11 a.m. session on our South Track. So those are things that you can, do if you have a little while. You got a couple hours. If you got a couple more, we'd love to put you in a car.
That actually a pretty good segue because you just mentioned it. One, if you're enjoying the podcast, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We love getting comments. We read them. We'll share. And if you have questions about the PEC, either here in Atlanta or in LA, mark them down and we'll get back to you and answer those questions. Be sure also to visit PCA.org and make sure you sign up for the free PCA newsletters. We've got Mart Fresh. We've got performance news and e-brake news. I got them all.
It's tough when you don't have a piece of paper.
It's tough when I don't have a piece of paper in front of me, but I'm doing it from memory. I've got it. Yeah. And so What else have we
Well,
have
I'm
not
sure
covered
you
here?
get this question a lot from friends and family when they find out you work for Porsche. Do you drive a Porsche?
I am actually in a Volkswagen Tiguan right now.
Okay.
That's one of the
In the
one of the
in the
perks.
family,
Family.
in the family.
One of the perks, but yes, I'm in a Volkswagen Tiguan right now. But when I first started, I had a Macan for a couple years and traded in and out, of course, about 4 over about 2 years. So you do have the option to do that as an employee. It's a very generous lease program that we have. So it's really nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm good here. How about you, Manny?
Yep.
Any other tips or tricks that we haven't revealed?
Now that you heard, I can't imagine why you wouldn't want to stop
Yeah,
here.
it
Not for the
is-
$5 tour,
Yeah.
certainly to try out some cars.
It certainly is a bucket list destination. And Sam, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. And folks, if you're in Atlanta, it's a must do. It's not whether or not you should. It's a must do. And if you've done it before, I still come back. I still come back and I see new things every time. So
Yes, for sure.
with that, if you'd like a PCA Insider mug or if you'd like a shirt, we head over to our web store and we'll get you set up there. If you're just looking for a PCA Insider decal, drop us an email at podcast@pca.org. Meantime, drive safe. We'll catch you down the road.